So yeah, I can speak on it, and he did and gone. So yeah, if he knew what had just happened to your guy.
What's up, fam? It's your boy Wolf5. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. I got some news for y'all today. So, Yandolph's alleged killer Hernandez Govan was found not guilty in court, and ever since that judge hit the Agaville, he's been everywhere doing interviews. But here's the issue. The more he talks, the more guilty everybody involved starts looking. I don't care that the jury said not guilty. I don't care that he keeps claiming innocence on every podcast. I got common sense, and to me, Hernandez Govan looks guilty as hell. Do I think Big Jook had something to do with recruiting him? Absolutely. Do I think Hernandez then pulled in Cornelius Smith and straight dropped to finish the job? No doubt in my mind, but legally he's innocent, so that's what we're stuck with. Still, I don't like how ever since he beat the case, he's basically turned into a podcaster. He's all over the internet speaking on the situation and constantly throwing yow. Gotti under the bus in his latest interview. He even suggested Gotti had young Dolph killed. Don't believe me? Watch this clip, then we'll come back and break it down because it's wild. I couldn't believe he actually said it. Let's go.
It was a situation where somebody reached out to Dolph. He ain't no OG or no shit like that. Curtis Givens, it's a nigga from Memphis, Tennessee. He owned a club or whatever. He got a few establishments in the city, but he ain't no OG or nothing in the street. You know, he got some respect in the entertainment, nightlife or whatever. But he reached out to Dolph on the advisement of Penny Hardaway. And Penny wanted to see the shit put to bed because Penny fuck with Gotti and Dolph. And Penny wanted it done for the city. So when Curtis Givens reached out to Gotti, Gotti was with it. You know, Gotti told Whoop, that's what we call Curtis Givens. Told Whoop, yeah, man, you put it together, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm open to it.
Yeah.
When Curtis Givens called Dolph, Dolph went off.
All right, pause it right there. Hernandez Govan is claiming that former NBA player Penny Hardaway, now the coach at the University of Memphis, tried to get Gotti and young Dolph to squash their beef. Supposedly, Penny reached out to Gotti and Gotti was open to it. He was like, I ain't got no issue with Dolph. Let's move past it and get to the money. But when they reached out to Dolph, he wasn't going for it. Now, that's interesting. From what we know, Dolph and Gotti had real tension, personal and street level. And honestly, I can understand why Dolph wasn't ready to let it go. There had already been multiple attempts on his life, allegedly tied to CMG affiliates. So from Dolph's perspective, it's like, how do you just move on after that? Once somebody tries to take you out, forgiveness ain't easy. At that point, it's deeper than music. And unfortunately, that situation ended with Dolph losing his life. Let's keep going.
You know, and it wasn't nothing peaceful about how he felt about the proposition. So this is another situation where we already established the fact that if he wasn't in that car that day, he'll probably still be alive. If he would have accepted the invitation to get on the phone with Gotti, would have mediated on the phone like Penny Hardaway or Curtis Givens, he could still potentially be alive right to this day.
Did y'all catch that? If you really listen to what Hernandez Govan is saying, he's basically implying that if young Dolph had agreed to squash the beef with Gotti, he'd still be alive. In other words, he's saying the beef is what led to Dolph's death. That's a heavy statement now. Look, we can also admit Dolph made some risky moves. He went back to Memphis riding around in a camo-wrapped car that everybody recognized, and it was all over Instagram. You moving like everything's normal, but there's known tension and prior. Attempts on your life, I get it. Maybe he just wanted to stop by Makita's for that chocolate chip cookie, but that could have waited me personally. I'm not risking my life for no cookie. I'm sending somebody else or moving way more low-key. Everybody knew that car. He promoted it himself in multiple videos, so once someone spotted it, they already knew it was him. I wish he would have moved smarter. You can love Dolph and still admit that you can want justice and still acknowledge he made a dangerous decision going back like that. Some people won't like hearing it, but it played a part in what happened. And now when I look at Hernandez Govan in these interviews, it feels like he's subtly putting the blame on Yo Gotti. It almost sounds like dry snitching and like he's doing it on purpose, because if I'm Yo Gotti, I'm heated. Just when people start moving on here comes Govan doing interviews, bringing everything back up and attaching my name to it again. That's a problem. If I'm Gotti, I'm making a call, because every time this man opens his mouth, he's dragging my name into it. And let's not forget, this ain't the first time he said something like this. Check out this next clip, where he again talks about Gotti and Dolph's situation.
So yeah, I could speak on it, and he did and gone. So yeah, he knew what had just happened to Yo Gotti. So there is no way that I would have been riding around here like that, and I knew what just happened to Yo Gotti, and the Yo Gotti that everybody know. He probably going on his lick back, because a lot of people don't know what happened. Gotti was in town for a family function, a family event, and he was in his Rolls Royce truck, and Hernandez pulled up on the side of him. And, they let out about 60 rounds into his Rolls Royce truck, but he was bulletproof. And you know I got it moved. He ain't gonna do no social media, or he ain't report the crime, and that. So it kind of went under the radar. But they knew about it with the detectives and stuff. They knew because it's in our discovery. Yeah, so they had just happened about it like maybe a month or so prior.
You heard that? He's saying about a month before Dolph was killed. Yo Gotti was in his Rolls Royce when someone pulled up and fired around 60 shots at him, and he survived because the car was bulletproof. Just like Dolph survived a previous attempt now. Govan is basically saying Dolph shouldn't have been in Memphis at all. According to what he's saying, the streets were already pointing fingers, tensions were high, so why come back, and especially in a recognizable car? If that version of events is true, then yeah, that's a risky move. I'm not saying it's fact, I'm saying that's what Govan is putting out there, but what's really interesting is how his tone has changed. When he first got out, he was praising Yo Gotti, saying he had nothing to do with it, pointing fingers elsewhere. Now, it's a complete switch. So what changed? Is there something going on behind the scenes? Is this pressure blackmail or just him talking too much? That's the question, because now he's pushing the narrative that the beef with Yo Gotti is the reason Dolph is gone. And whether that's true or not, just saying that puts a spotlight on Gotti. That's all the streets need to start talking, remember. What Govan was saying earlier after he got out? If you don't watch this.
They were definitely actively trying to charge Big Jook when he was killed. Yes, they were. They just wanted it on a higher scale.
What do you mean by that?
Federal.
Oh, word. That's what you...
Yeah.
That's what you heard.
It ain't what I heard, it's what I know.
Do you think the feds are still working on charging other people in Memphis for stuff?
Related to this case?
Yeah.
There's nobody left to charge.
Yeah, right.
It ain't nobody left to charge. I mean, who they gonna charge? I mean, there ain't nobody to charge.
See, that's where the interviewer should have pressed him harder, brought Yo Gotti's name up directly, and asked him about the rumors. Because it felt like Govan was dancing around it, almost waiting for someone to go there. Let's be real, people have been connecting dots. Your main rival gets killed, then your brother gets killed later on. And we're supposed to believe there's no connection? Maybe there isn't. Legally, nothing has been proven. But from the outside looking in, it raises questions. I'm just being honest.
Sitting in that courtroom, waiting for that judge to read out your verdict of you being found guilty or not guilty. Walk us through that day, knowing that you might get sentenced, or you could be possibly sentenced for life.
The night prior was rough. I had a couple negative people in my ear, just like a couple of homeboys. Man, ain't no way I'm walking in there tomorrow. Are you crazy as hell?
Yeah.
You gonna walk back in there and let them folks say guilty and handcuff you? Man, you gotta make them do their job then.
What, they were telling you to go on the run?
Yeah, the day before the verdict. As soon as they started deliberating, I had a couple partners, and they was like, man, Man, you tougher than me, man. You're nuts, man. Like Paul Bunyan. Ain't no way I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now listen to this. His own people were telling him to run because they thought he was going to be found guilty. That tells you something. Your close circle usually knows what's going on. They didn't think he beat the case in Cornelius Smith. He told his side likely aiming for a lighter sentence, but what he said about Govan being involved did make sense to some people. The jury just didn't see it that way. So Govan walks free, and now he's out here telling his version, pointing fingers at everybody else while maintaining his innocence.
Yeah, they have another news story. Quit on the run.
Because mind you, you're out. For the people who don't know, you're out on bond at the time.
I'm out on bond.
And it was like a $90,000 bond?
$90,000 bond, yeah. And so, you know, I ended up talking to my brother, and I just decided to, man, just go on in there, you know, and
So running was an option for a little bit.
No, I wasn't gonna say it was an option. It was funny.
Yeah.
I was listening to my partner them call me, you know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't ran in all this time, you know, I ain't finished, you know what I'm saying, you know. But you think about the what ifs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, you know. And but with that being said, you know, just going through, I mean, if you go back to the first day of jury selection when I signed the deal for the 10 years. And
Dolph family rejected it.
Yeah, they rejected it, and you know, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to sign the deal for the 10 years, you know.
Did y'all hear that part? He admitted he signed a plea deal for 10 years. He was ready to take that, but Dolph's family rejected it, so it went to trial. And he beat it, walked away free, and now he's doing interviews, podcasts, basically turned into a full-on content creator. And honestly, he's not bad at it. That's the crazy part, beat a serious case and then step into media like that. But the public is divided. Some people are riding with Dolph, saying, forget Gotti, other support, Gotti me. I respect both artists. It's just a tragic ending all around this situation. Didn't have to go this far. Feels like something that started small just spiraled out of control at the core of it. It's about conflict. Nobody wants to sit down and resolve issues anymore. Everybody wants to be the toughest in the room. Nobody wants to talk. And that's how things escalate. If it were me, I would have stayed far away from Memphis. You can still give back without physically being there. Send donations, work with local charities. There are safer ways. To move your life is worth more than proving a point. And let's be real, if the roles were reversed, you think Gotti would move like that? Probably not. At the very least, you move with heavy security. But that's just my take on the situation. I want to hear from y'all. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to share the video. Appreciate y'all. Peace. You're out of messages. With the most advanced free model responses, we'll use a less powerful model until your usage resets after 6:32 a.m.